Hey, this is Coach Willie, the Holistic Trainer, and this is a demonstration of a neck lateral flexion isometric exercise. Isometric simply means that you're going to be creating force against an immovable object. So essentially, you're going to be moving your head to one direction and creating a contraction. When you're doing this exercise, you're going to be doing it in a sitting position, and I suggest sitting on something that has an edge in which you can have your arm straight out to the side in order to create traction. If you're sitting at a chair or something that's more narrow, your arm's going to be by your side, but you're not going to be able to create the same position that's necessary for doing this exercise. So I suggest sitting on something that's similar to a bench in order to have your arm completely straight. Now, when you're doing this exercise, it's important to move through pain-free range of motion. If something feels off, back off the range of motion just a little bit. To begin this exercise, you're going to be sitting up tall, and you're going to move one arm out to the side and grabbing onto the end of the bench or whatever you're sitting on. Now I'm creating a little bit of force here, so I'm going to grab onto the bench and grip it lightly, and I'm going to be pulling against the edge of the seat that I'm sitting on. And I'm going to begin by placing my other hand on the far side of my head. I'm going to bring my ear towards my shoulder until I feel a good stretch on this side of my neck. Once I get to that good stretch position, I'm going to take my hand off, and my goal is to not let my head move from this position. So once again, I'm going to pull my head slightly to my side, to the side, get to my end range of motion, and then let go. And I want to make sure that once I get here that my head doesn't move back up. I bring it down, I hold, and I let go. That's the first part of the exercise. Now the second part is I'm going to place my hand back against the side of my head, and now I'm going to push into my hand without letting my head move. So now I'm pushing my head back towards my hand, but notice how I'm not moving position. So I'm creating force this direction into my hand. So once again, I don't want to move my head as I'm doing this stretch. I do the first part, I hold it, I place my hand back, and now I push back into my hand, and then relax. And I'll repeat the exercise on the other side. Grabbing onto the end of my bench, sitting up tall, pulling my ear towards my shoulder, get to my end range of pain-free range of motion, let go without letting my head move, place my hand back, and now push my head into my hand, and relax. So this is an exercise that you will do from side to side, and if you notice that there's a big difference on one side than the other, you're going to do extra repetitions on the more challenging side. The duration that you're holding this stretch will be given to you in your program, so each repetition is going to have 2 time slots. For example, it might say 10-second contraction, 10-second contraction. What that would mean is I'm going to hold this part of the exercise for 10 seconds. And then I will hold this part of the exercise where I'm pushing my head back into my hand for 10 seconds as well. Again, just to reiterate, it's important that you move through pain-free range of motion. It should feel slightly uncomfortable because you are putting a good stretch into the muscles of the neck. However, you shouldn't experience pain. And this is a demonstration of the neck lateral flexion isometric.